Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the kind of fear that really gets under your skin. The kind that makes you check the locks twice and maybe sleep with the lights on. We've got a story sent in by a viewer, and it's a chilling one. It's called Alone in the Cabin at Night. Now, I want you to get comfortable, maybe grab a blanket, because this one is going to give you the shivers. Imagine this. You've escaped the city. You're looking for peace and quiet in a remote cabin, deep in the woods. Sounds perfect, right? But what if that silence isn't peaceful? What if it's the kind of silence that feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for something to happen? That's exactly where our story begins. The first thing I noticed was the silence. It wasn't the comfortable kind, the type that blankets a snowy night and makes you feel cozy. No, this was different. This silence felt watchful. It felt like someone was holding their breath, just waiting. I'd arrived at the cabin hours before, completely drained from the long drive, just desperate to escape the noise and chaos of the city. The fire I'd built was crackling away, casting long dancing shadows across the wooden walls. For a brief moment, everything felt perfect. It was exactly what I needed. But then, as the wind started to howl outside, the silence returned. Only this time it was thicker, heavier. It felt almost alive, and that's when I heard it. A soft tapping at the window. At first, I froze, my body going completely still. My rational mind immediately tried to explain it away. It's just a branch, I told myself, just a tree branch brushing against the glass in the wind. But the tapping didn't stop. It grew louder, more insistent. It wasn't the sound of a branch anymore. It was the sound of knuckles. Knuckles rapping on the pane with a clear, deliberate purpose. My heart started hammering against my ribs. I slowly got up from the worn armchair and walked toward the window, each step feeling heavier than the last. I pulled back the thin curtain and peered out into the swirling darkness. Nothing. There was absolutely nothing there. I let out a nervous laugh, a shaky sound in the too-quiet room. Get a grip, I muttered to myself. But the sound of footsteps behind me made my blood run cold. I wasn't alone. I spun around, my eyes scanning the small cabin in a panic. But it was empty. The armchair by the fire, the small kitchenette, the single bed in the corner, all exactly as they were. I tried to convince myself it was just the old floorboards settling, the house groaning under the force of the wind. Old cabins do that, right? They make noises. Then, the whisper came. It was faint, but unmistakable. You shouldn't be here. The voice was dry, like rustling leaves, and it seemed to come from the direction of the kitchen. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me to run, to get out of that cabin and never look back. But a morbid curiosity, a stupid, dangerous curiosity took over. It propelled me forward, my legs moving as if they had a will of their own. I grabbed the heavy-duty flashlight I'd left on the counter. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely switch it on. The beam of light cut through the gloom, wobbling as I pointed it toward the kitchen doorway, and that's when I saw it. A figure standing perfectly still, right by the doorframe. Its form was tall and gaunt, but its face was completely obscured by shadows, a void in the dim light. It didn't move. It didn't make a sound. But I could feel it staring at me. I could feel its gaze like a physical weight pressing down on me. My breath hitched in my throat, a choked, pathetic sound. The flashlight slipped from my sweaty fingers, clattering onto the wooden floor and plunging the room into sudden, terrifying darkness. And in that blackness, I heard the voice again. Closer this time. I've been waiting for you. That was it. I'd bolted for the main door, fumbling for the handle in the dark. My fingers wrapped around the cold metal and I twisted, pulling with all my strength. It was locked. It wouldn't budge. I rattled it frantically, but it was no use. It felt like it was locked from the outside. Panic clawed at my throat. I stumbled over to the windows, one by one, trying to force them open. They were sealed shut, as if they were part of the wall itself. And then the whispers started. They weren't coming from one place anymore. They were all around me, circling, seeming to emanate from the very walls of the cabin. You shouldn't be here, they hissed from one corner. We've been waiting, they sighed from another. The last thing I remember before the lights in my own mind went out completely was a cold hand clamping down on my shoulder. And then a soft mocking sigh right next to my ear. Alone, at last. So, what do you all think happened in that cabin? Was it a ghost, an intruder, or something else entirely? Let me know your theories down in the comments. I read every single one, and I'm genuinely curious to hear what you guys think about this one. It's stories like these that remind us that sometimes the most terrifying things aren't the ones we can see. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out and ensures you won't miss our next descent into the darkness. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.